Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Welcome to this Friday edition of the show. So thankful you are with us all across America and Canada, and however you might be watching, whether it's through YouTube or any other place. We appreciate you being with us. A lot to do over the next 60 minutes. It'll be a busy one. Daytona 500 on Sunday, kicking off the NASCAR season. Tino Patino will be here. SiriusXM NASCAR Radio betting insider. Also does a good job with Tubi on the weekends. You can catch his NASCAR show there. So we got that coming up for you. Also, Robert Littal will be here, the founder of Black Sports Online, joins us every Friday on the show, talk about the top stories of the week, some stories I want to get to with him from the NBA, as well as some items from the world of football. So that is coming up a little later on. Sam Yarnell will be here with me in about 10 minutes, talk with him about what's going on with baseball, the ABS challenge system, the rules and the guidelines have been announced. So we'll get into that with Sam. Also, this interesting story about Nick Castellanos to talk about, and a whole bunch more as we get things started, as we always do on this Friday with the big story. And the big story on this Friday has to be LeBron James. Why not? Let's talk about what LeBron did last night. 41 years old, 22nd season in the league. And I'm sorry, I know there are people that are going to say Page is being a LeBron sycophant, or, you know, oh, he's one of these guys, oh, LeBron. I will keep saying this and drive it home as best I can. Enjoy it while it's here, because you're never in your life going to see something like this again. One, NBA players aren't playing until they're 41 because they don't have to, because the money is so good. A guy could go through one major contract and then retire if he wants to. Guys don't have to play that long. So 10 to 12-year careers, guys retiring in their mid-30s, that's more the norm. Guys aren't going to play until they're 41 years old. And what he did last night, becoming the oldest player in NBA history to accomplish a triple-double, surpassing the mark set by Karl Malone, with 28, 10, and 12, I believe was the number. 28 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists. I mean, this is remarkable stuff. You're going to go your entire life and never see this again. And I don't think enough fans understand or comprehend that. And I get that it's the Mavericks. And it's the Mavericks without Cooper Flagg, and now without Anthony Davis, who they dealt away, and without Kyrie Irving, who's hurt. I get it. It's not a great Mavericks team. But the fact that at 41 years old, you had LeBron James out there doing what he's doing, setting the example at a time of year, and we've talked about this ad nauseum this week on the show, the fact that you have players who are already basically in all-star break mode have mailed it in. How many blowouts have we seen around the league this past week? An epidemic, if you will. And that leading to another conversation that we'll get to in a couple of minutes here with regard to the NBA taking action on tanking and player rest and all of those things. But to watch LeBron at 41 throwing up rainmakers from, 35 feet away, and wanting so badly, understanding that the triple-double was within his sights, and playing late into this blowout game, and making sure he got that 10th rebound. Austin Reeves, get out of the way, let the guy get his 10th rebound. And I get it. From that standpoint, some people are going to say it's a manufactured triple-double. It's not really a triple-double. My God, if he had finished with 9 rebounds, does it make it any more amazing that a 41-year-old playing against guys half his damn age is out there putting up 28, 10, and 12? It's amazing. And look, there are things you can take. You can go after LeBron and say, is he as good a defensive player as he once was? No. Just soak it in and enjoy it, man. Because whether it's this season or next season, the final season is near for LeBron James. Big story number one. Big story number two also comes from the NBA. And it is good news. For a bad reason, but good news. because Adam Silver's taking action. He's putting his foot down. He's saying enough is enough when it comes to tanking. Enough is enough when it comes to the player rest stuff. He fines the Utah Jazz $500,000. I get it. Ryan Smith's a zillionaire. $500,000 is pocket change to him. I get it. But it's a step. And it may not be the last step the league takes. When you listen to Adam Silver talk about this in the statement the league put out, which basically says, hey, we've got to stop this from a standpoint of a competitive product on the court for our consumers, the fans. We have to stop with, resting guys unnecessarily so that your team loses, so that or trying to make your team lose, because in this case, the game in which has been pointed out, the Jazz actually won. But saying we have to create some sort of deterrence. We have to create something that says this is not okay. This is not the way we want to do business as a league. Fined the Pacers, I believe, $100,000 for having Pascal Siakam sit out a game where he really shouldn't have been sitting out a game. Because again, the Pacers, like everybody else, everybody wants that top pick in the draft. This is a talent-rich draft coming up later in 2026. But I don't think this is the last step. If the point doesn't get across with a $500,000 fine for Ryan Smith, who basically laughed it off yesterday, and the head coach of the Jazz basically laughed it off yesterday, I think you're going to see further action from the league. And I don't know if it's stripping draft picks. I don't know what it is. Maybe you get less ping pong balls. I don't know what it is. But something's coming. The reckoning for the NBA from the league towards teams. The Players Association is going to obviously have to be involved. There's a lot of different layers to this, because who knows what's legitimate rest and a player being hurt versus what is an illegitimate injury or faking it so that guys get rested. That gets into a very slippery slope when you're talking about player safety and wanting to keep guys healthy. But Adam Silver's doing the right thing, especially ahead of a press conference that's going to be held at All-Star Weekend, where he's going to have to answer the questions and take the slings and arrows from the media when it comes to how the league addresses this issue of not having a competitive product on the court. And you're going to have 10 teams tanking over the final 30 games of the season. We'll see how it all plays out. We'll get into baseball, ABS challenge system, and much more. Sam Yarnell is here. Welcome back to the show. You heard what I had to say in the big story. Now let's bring in Sam Yarnell for the first time today. Interestingly enough, I'm not talking about anything having to do with the big story with him today. We'd left the big story on its own. Sam Yarnell with us to talk some baseball in segment 2 today. Why not? The ABS challenge system coming to a ballpark near you in just a couple of short days as we have spring training games kicking off. I think the Yankees' first game is a week from today, if I'm not mistaken, against the Orioles. It'll show up on the screen behind me. I cannot wait. I am excited for baseball season, even if it's the last season we have for a while. Thank you to the Los Angeles Dodgers for that. So, ABS guidelines released yesterday, Sam. I said this last year when it was announced that this was going to be a thing this year, when we all started to figure out this was going to be a thing this year. If you've got smart pitchers, smart catchers, hitters with a knowledge of the strike zone, there are going to be a lot of these challenges, because you don't lose your challenge if you get it right. That's the first thing people need to know. You get 2 challenges per first 9 innings. Extra innings, you get 1 per inning. That's the big part of the guidelines that sticks out to me. But if you get it right, you get to keep your challenge. And I think catchers are going to more times than not be right when they talk about these challenges. And I think your good hitters that really understand the strike zone are gonna do well with this. There's going to be a lot of these challenges in games, Sam.
Yeah, I'm very interested because, like with any new thing, teams are it's going to be a feeling out process,
Yeah.
right? And it's not only going to be in spring training, it'll be a feeling out process through the regular season. I will say, Jason, I do have pretty strong opinions on tanking as a Washington Wizards fan
I'm sure
that
you
we
do.
won't get to today, apparently. But with the ABS thing, I think that there's so many different directions it can go. I'm not ready to say yet whether even through spring training, I won't be ready to say whether it's good or bad, positive or negative for the sport. I
Got to
think
give
that
it a whole
there are
season. Got to give it a whole season, and then we'll.
right, exactly. And that's the thing, right? Like there are so many different things that could come of this. You could have it manipulated by the players, which is their prerogative to do, in such a way where you are lengthening games in the exact inverse way that you just shortened them by the implementation of the pitch clock. That's going to do nothing but drive viewership straight away just as soon as you brought them all in. So there's like this is an experience to me that is full of variables, and there's going to seemingly be a new one at every corner that we come around, like when Major League Baseball comes to within, a month and a half of the season and realizes, hey, we're going to implement a whole new rule and we don't have a plan for extra innings. Sounds like we have to amend it a week before spring training starts.
The story, according to the way baseball has laid it out, they say the challenge system really is only going to add 53 seconds to games. Now, I don't know how you can do that when you don't know how many challenges are going to be correct in a game, and a team could wind up doing 10 challenges in a game if they're getting them right. So it's not a minimum of 2, which, by the way, I'm fine with because I just want the call to be right, especially in key moments. As anybody knows, I'm a huge fan and a proponent of this system where some people might not be. The other interesting part of it is what happens subsequently in a play if a challenge is made. Somebody could steal a base. There could be actual action that takes place. And there are some things that are going to still be at the umpire's discretion, whether or not they award the challenge. A lot of different, again, there is a lot of nuance to this and strategy that's going to have to be implemented. Bottom line. One last thought on it. Go ahead.
Well, I just think that it's something that this is going to be something that we're going to have to review rather than preview.
Good way to say it. Nick Castellanos, ladies and gentlemen, I submit for you, who actually didn't have a bad last year. I think he was like 17-70 or something like that on the season at like 270. Cut loose by the Philadelphia Phillies after he made still owed $20 million for the upcoming season, is Nick Castellanos. And apparently cut loose by the team. And one of the reasons that people are talking about is this incident in the dugout last year where he was pulled from a game. Then he went into the clubhouse, grabbed a Presidente, was drinking it on the bench. And obviously a lot of people weren't happy about it. Actually, he says he never got to drink it because it was taken away or something like that before he got to drink it, but that he brought it into the dugout. I talked about this with our friend David Ardsma on the phone last night. He and I were talking on the phone about it for a few minutes. And I said, look, is it common for guys to have a beer during the game or something like that? He's like, well, if it's a pitcher who's pitching the next day, a starter who just got his throwing work in, somebody gets pulled from the game, he goes, and you might just put it in a red Solo cup and nobody's going to know what it is anyway because everybody's drinking from those cups. The bottom line is Nick Castellanos is making it sound like Rob Thompson was running too tight of a ship. And there might be something to that. Ultimately, though, it's Castellanos that winds up out on his rear end just before the start of spring training, trying to find a team, but still making $20 million.
Yeah, I mean, all this story tells you about is the current culture within the Philadelphia Phillies organization. And if it does nothing, it explains kind of the reason that they've taken this colossal collapse in three straight postseasons. It's things aren't great baseball wise in Philadelphia right now. I don't think anybody would sit here and tell you that they are. They had a really, really bad offseason, and that's capped off with cutting a guy who you owe $20 million in the last year of a 5-year, $100 million deal. It's not going well in Philadelphia right now, Jason. It's just about as simple as that. They're going to have to move off of the Bryce Harper deal sooner rather than later. They're going to start talking about I would assume Trey Turner by this trade deadline to try and at least recoup something for him and build for the future. You never know if Zach Wheeler's ever going to pick up a baseball again. Let's be honest. I mean, we were talking about him never pitching again when he suffered this injury last year. Things are not good in Philadelphia right now.
By the way, and we didn't get to this story the other day, Justin Verlander, 1-year deal. He'll pitch for the Tigers this year. Very cool that he goes back to where it all started.
Yeah, but I'm nervous for Tiger fans because it feels like the front office is making moves. Hey, well, Justin Verlander's coming back. Let's give him this nice send-off so that you, the fan base, forget that we just traded away Tarek Skubal in the last year that we have him to try and get something back.
I don't know. I mean, look, we had Ardsma on the show a couple weeks back, and he said he doesn't think they're going to trade him. He thinks they're going to hang on to him. We'll wait and see. Come talk to me at the trade deadline. That would be my response to that. Come and talk to me when we get to the trade deadline, and we'll see what their record is. We're hanging out. We got more to do. Robert Littal comes up. Sam back later in the show for odds and ends. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. In 20 minutes, Tino Patino will be here to talk NASCAR. The Daytona 500 kicking into gear. Starts the NASCAR season. But if it is a Friday on this show, it can only mean one thing. This guy is here. The one and only Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online, joins us every Friday here on the show. Graces us with his presence. Last weekend, it was from Super Bowl week. This week, we got the NBA All-Star Weekend festivities in Los Angeles. You don't have to go too far for this one, at least.
Yeah, quite a 2 weekends in the state of California, putting the NBA All-Star Weekend smack in the middle of Valentine's Day. Maybe not the best move of all time, but like you said, at least for me, the frequent flyer miles are low.
It's a home game. All right. Speaking of the All-Star game, let's talk about it. Kevin Durant met with the media this week after a Rockets game, and he was questioned about the guys playing hard, players playing hard. And I'm not going to play the audio because the audio quality wasn't very good on it, but you got the gist of what he was saying, which is, why do you guys always ask this of us? You don't say anything to Jokic. You don't say anything to Luka. They don't play hard either. Why are you asking the old head about it, was essentially his reaction. First of all, do you think guys are going to play hard in this world versus the U.S. format? One. And two, do you think there is some, while he was saying it a little tongue-in-cheek, there's a little truth in every joke, and you could tell he was trying to get a message across without being a jerk about it.
He was trying to say that the media is harder on the black players than the European and the white players. He just didn't want to say it, which is odd for Kevin Durant because he's gotten into a mode at this point of his career of saying exactly what he thinks. But when he says, you can read between the lines, I can read between the lines. What he's saying is that you're asking me this because I'm a black player. Why don't you go ask, Luka or Jokic or any of these other white European players, about this? And I think that makes it a broader issue than the All-Star game. I think when you're talking specifically for the All-Star game, that doesn't really make any sense because, people talk about Luka being, husky, all year. They talk about him being lazy on defense. One of the only knocks on Jokic is that he is maybe not a great defensive player. So I don't feel like I don't think these two things are mutually exclusive. I think he's really talking about a bigger issue, which is more of a societal issue, is do the media are more critical about everything when it comes to black athletes than they are to white athletes or the European athletes. And that's a discussion that probably needs to be had. But as you can see on social media, a lot of people aren't nuanced enough to have that discussion.
Well, what was the general gist of the reaction you saw when it came to social media with him saying that?
Well, I thought a lot of black people were like, yeah. and a lot of white people was like, why are you bringing up race? It's kind of the same thing that we hear over and over and over again. Once again, I think it's a nuanced conversation. Also, I don't know if the All-Star game is the right reflection of that to have that conversation. I wouldn't go as far and say that people don't actually criticize Luka and Jokic. I've seen those criticisms on a high level,
especially of Luka. Especially of Luka.
Say that the media is fair all the time when it comes to black athletes, and I think there's some sort of middle ground in that conversation.
Yeah, I think look, I mean, the media is particularly harsh on Luka. So I don't think it's necessarily, and I'm not saying what he's saying isn't true or doesn't have validity. And again, it's all from where you sit. Your perspective is your reality. The way I view it versus the way a black person's going to view it are going to be two totally different things because we come from two totally different perspectives. I think the most important thing in these conversations, and I say this all the time, is to try, it's a difficult thing to do, but it's an important exercise, is to remove yourself from your own body and imagine what it looks like from the position of the person who's making the comment. And I think if we did that with, I know this is going to sound like I should have like some music playing in the background. It's a stump speech. But if we all tried to understand the world from the perspective of the person across from us, in some instances, depending on who that person is, I think it would cure a lot of the ills of the world.
Well, I had a professor once that told me the best way to cover anything is to erase the names, look at it at a blank, like you said, a blank face, and just look at the situation.
Yes.
And if you didn't know who it was or what they did or how rich they were or how poor they were, and you just said, this is what happened. This is the situation with these random little blocks of people. Mm-hmm. How would you feel about it? And that's how you get your most unbiased view.
We talked about it in the big story, and it is a big story when the NBA finally looks like they're going to crack down on tanking. They're going to crack down on guys resting when they're not supposed to be resting. It feels like this is a watershed moment for the league. And it feels like Adam Silver's ready to finally take this on. Am I wrong?
I think so. Not wrong in the sense that they're trying to do something. I just saw something that really kind of opened my eyes to it. Someone was saying that, something, if $1 million fine or whatever it is to $1 billion company, to them it's a tax write-off if they get the number one pick, or if they, whatever they're trying to accomplish, or whatever they're trying to accomplish, the money is not going to be the difference maker. Now, if they start saying, hey, we're going to, if you do X, Y, and Z, you're guaranteed to be outside the lottery, then maybe that's different. Or we're going to take away your first round pick, that's different. But when you're talking about billionaires and $500,000 fine or a second round pick fine, to them, it's worth it. If they can accomplish their goal, which is to tank, which is to get that higher pick.
Yeah, because even if they did this to the Jazz, let's say 6 more times this year.
Yeah,
it's what, a $3.5 million fine? They'll gladly pay that to go and get the number one pick in the draft.
This is an acceptable loss. That's a little business acumen from me, an acceptable loss.
And the Jazz basically said, look, we're going to do what we want to do. I mean, that's essentially what you had the head coach say last night. Ryan Smith was out there basically saying, we won the game that we were allegedly tanking in, which isn't a great answer.
On the test, but flunked,
it's like the bank. Else. It's like the bank robber saying, well, I didn't get to rob the bank. Why am I getting arrested? It doesn't work that way. I think this is really a big moment for the NBA and how they handle this. And maybe it starts with fines. And they see how teams handle that. And if that doesn't work, they just keep going a step further, Robert.
Correct. I think what you got to do is you have to find some sort of system that if you notice a team is tanking, that it does affect their draft slot. I've seen a lot of different ways that they can do it. I actually saw one interesting thing where they said that if you get to the point where you're out the playoffs, the amount of games that you win once you're eliminated actually helps your draft slot.
We're talking with Robert Littal, Black Sports Online founder, joins us every Friday. More with him next. Robert Littal is the founder of Black Sports Online. He joins us every Friday here on SportsWrap. Talk about the top stories of the week. Sometimes those stories happen right before we get set to have these conversations. In the case of Joe Judge, Mississippi State quarterbacks coach, or Ole Miss quarterback coach, sorry. Joe Judge was on the witness stand yesterday because that's what college sports has come to these days. In the case of Trinidad Chambliss trying to get a 6th year of eligibility, which he did successfully get, which we'll talk about later in the show. But what was more interesting was what Joe Judge said with regard to how players in college, how the conversations have to be had with regard to players in college who, whether they're married to their significant other or whether it's their girlfriend or whatever it may be, having children, and sort of how that impacts the players on the field, Robert. This was a very interesting comment from Joe Judge. It got a lot of attention. Listen to it for yourself.
But we would have to educate. This is always a tough conversation to have, and it's not a popular thing. This is the truth. We would have to educate significant others who may have been pregnant during the season or going to have a baby during the season. And you'd have to educate them on, you have this baby in the middle of the season. That father has to play good football, right? It's a day-by-day production business. He has to be ready to perform and go out there and play. And when I say that is, you need to let him sleep. He needs to be in another room, detached. You have to explain to the mother, like, hey, listen, he ain't waking up for midnight feedings. After the season, he's full metal jacket. You do whatever you want with him. And he can change every diaper. But in season, he's got to have a different priority.
Okay, Robert Littal, I'll throw it to you.
I mean, the two phrases that really gets me is that he is actively saying that the father should be detached from his newborn child, and that his priority should be, football over the mother of his child and his newborn. And I don't know what it's been the last couple of months. These coaches have been coming out saying they don't spend any time with their kids. They're missing births to go to games. And I don't know exactly. I mean, I guess this is a mindset in football. I can tell you, as someone that has 3 children, there's no bigger priority than that in the world, than that. And I understand people say, well, if you're trying to go to the NFL, you're trying to work and all of this stuff. I think sometimes it's the phrasing, maybe just say, hey, try to be a little bit understanding of what he's trying to do. If you could do it on your own, that would be helpful. It's just so demeaning to the young ladies. I mean, because I'm assuming most of these young ladies would have to be between the ages of 18 and say 24. That had just had a child. They're not even real adults, if we're being, honest. And if a coach were to say that to a 19-year-old girl, I mean, it's not criminal, but it almost sounds criminal to say to an individual like that. And I'll be honest with you, it's been really sad to see the way that some of these coaches have spoken about fatherhood and what they think about parenting.
The 2 words that come to mind to me: tone deaf, just completely just out of touch with reality. In such a major way. It'll be interesting to see what the continued fallout from that is. As I am interested to see the fallout from this, and I might have a different reaction to this than some people. I'm not sure. Joey Porter on the Cam Hayward podcast with our friend Diana Rossini, who is apparently moderating this conversation. This is Joey Porter talking about Ben Roethlisberger. Listen, and we'll get your reaction.
He broke the brotherhood. Then 7 definitely broke the brotherhood because,
that's the one I don't understand.
The 7 dude that we don't talk about.
I know.
Is crazy. Like out of anybody should talk, he should never grab a microphone and really talk Steeler business. Yeah. Because if we talking Steeler business, his ass is foul of all foul. Like the that he's did is foul of all foul. He's not a good teammate. Won a Super Bowl with him, but the person, he's just not a good teammate. Like, he knows that. Anybody in the Steeler building knows that. But we protected him because I've only won 1 Super Bowl.
I'm going to tell you what my problem with this whole thing is. If you want to say that and you're Joey Porter, I don't have a problem with it. But I want more information about why you're saying that. Okay, you've got to give me more than he's a bad teammate, he shouldn't be speaking out. Okay, give me examples. Because now you've basically walked us to the edge and then said, you know what, we're going to walk back. Because he didn't give me anything after that.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. And that happens a lot. There's a lot of innuendo on these podcasts and not a lot of actual facts or examples or anything like that. The way I looked at it was, because people were like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that, is we've covered sports for a very, very long time. There are a lot of Hall of Fame athletes, Super Bowl champs, World Series champs, NBA Finals champs, terrible people. They're not good people. And we know this because we've been in locker rooms, we've been around them, we've talked to other players and stuff like that. Once again, these things are not mutually exclusive. I think that, like, the whole thing about, like, the Patriots way and stuff like that. No, they had a murderer on their team that was a really good football player. You know, they're criminals on the team. You think if the Falcons really cared about they would have cut James Prince Jr. immediately. Like there's enough. We got video. We kind of know what happened, but he got 10 sacks. So we're going to wait and see, what's going on. If he was a 7th round pick, would he be on the team right now? No. Quality, quantity over the type of individual that you are really doesn't matter. What matters is how do you perform, on the field. So if you're surprised by Joey Porter's comments, you shouldn't be. Your favorite player is probably a horrible person.
Yeah, and look, I don't have a problem with him saying it. And I'm not even saying that I think he's lying or being untruthful. I think he's probably spot on. There was a time in Ben Roethlisberger's life where we know he wasn't the greatest person in the world.
Like, is he talking about, bathroom
off the field stuff? Right.
His attitude maybe after coming back or before, but maybe we'll never know.
The great Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online. Always appreciate you, my friend. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the All-Star game.
I'm sure it'll be trash, but we'll see what happens.
Let's talk some NASCAR. NASCAR is here, ladies and gentlemen, the Daytona 500. Yes, and that means this guy, Tino Patino, for the next 456 days, because NASCAR's season is interminably long.
Oh, yeah.
Tino Patino, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio betting insider. You can catch him on Tubi on the weekends as well. Daytona 500 this weekend, Tino, and I had to do like a triple take when I saw Kyle Busch. Mm-hmm. After 20 races in Daytona at the Daytona 500, Kyle Busch, who's never won a Daytona 500, has a chance to win one for the first time, and he'll be P1 on Sunday for the race that kicks off the NASCAR season. What do you make of it?
I love it. This is exactly what we need. Bring up the energy, bring up the passion. A new era of being unfolded. NASCAR's going with the slogan of hell yeah, and I'm all for it. Give me Kyle Busch starting on the pole. And honestly, this is a driver we've talked about recent years. Can he get back to his winning form? And I'm not saying I'm all in on RCR and Kyle Busch, but for the Daytona 500 in a super speedway race, they got to be feeling good about it, because it's not just Kyle Busch starting from the front. Austin Dillon, his teammate, starting 7th in this one. So to me, I really do like, 2 drivers inside the top 10 for that group showcasing speed. And if they showcase speed at a super speedway for that group, and especially Kyle Busch has never won a Daytona 500 before, this could be it.
Did he say something afterwards about it being like 80% luck winning the pole? Like, I'm trying, like, how do we explain it? I mean, he didn't win a pole all of last year, did he?
No,
that's what I'm saying.
I can remember.
So I'm just sitting here trying to rack my brain. How does he come into this race and win? Is it luck?
I wouldn't say it's luck. I would definitely say there's a lot of things that go into it. I could say skill. I would say there's more luck involved in winning the race than winning the pole. I think that's a testament to the guys back in the shop, putting the pieces together. You got a new crew chief. They've been hard at work over there. They've made a lot of adjustments within that team, right? And that's why you bring in Kyle Busch. RCR, a group that's known for, trying to win or at least running up front, they haven't been there in recent years. Kyle Busch, they bring them into the fold a couple years ago. They get off to a hot start. He knows what it takes to win. I think that's what's important. They've made a lot of changes to do so. And the other drivers we saw up there, Chase Briscoe, he'll be on the front row alongside Kyle Busch. That's a driver who didn't win a lot of poles last season, 6 around there, and he led the league. So to me, I think from that standpoint, a lot more hard work, a testament to the crew guys actually putting in the work and making the cars faster.
Make the argument for Kyle Busch to actually win this thing on Sunday.
Well, it's the fact that he's got the most experience, the most smarts, but he's going to need the most luck in order to get it done, right? That's where the factor comes into it in the actual race itself. I think he can do it. He's been a driver that when I've seen these races in person or on TV, Kyle Busch in the Daytona 500, it feels like it's only a matter of time. I will say him winning the pole hurts a little bit of that storyline because it is very hard to win a race like this from pole position. So it's taking away a little bit from him winning the race, in my opinion, in that storyline. But I will say, he has a fast car. And you give Kyle Busch a fast car, he'll capitalize.
And as Noah Gregson pointed out, you can win this race from virtually anywhere. He had to point that out, though, after he had the inexplicable hand error where he puts his hand out during qualifying and winds up getting punished for it. But enough about that. Explain to me this. An hour ago, earlier in the day, you had Kyle Busch as a favorite to win the Daytona 500. Then I turn around and he's the third best odds. What's changing here? Tell me what's going on. I know we got the duels going on, and that's playing into it some.
Yep, so the duels happened, this past week, set more of the qualifying order. So Kyle Busch is still on the pole. But as I alluded to, right, it is hard to win from pole position at any race, but especially a super speedway. That has a factor to do with it. And another thing is the Penske and Fords came to play. They worked together very well. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, we've talked about them all last season being fast every weekend, but super speedways specifically, that's why the odds have made a shift there. I think a lot of people notice those guys are always leading laps, always up front, and look to do so again. When you close out a duel and finish 1-2, that's the type of incentive the bettors and fans out there need to be a little bit more encouraged that those Team Penske Fords will be able to handle what it takes to lead and make their way up towards the front again. So I think it's that teamwork aspect.
All right, how do you talk about this from a betting standpoint? Because, in baseball you have preseason, or NFL you have preseason, you have all these different things, and you have an offseason where teams make moves. It feels like it's harder to do that with NASCAR, where it's literally cars and the same driver. How do you handicap this as the first race of the year and not really knowing, outside of the duels and qualifying, what the hell these guys are bringing to the track?
Definitely. I think that's a great point. The thing that I would say about this is we can look back at last year. Although the cars are different, it's a new era, it's a new year. I want to see who's been fast at super speedways, the drivers that have not only experience, but also have been there in position. And it's all about surviving at the end, too, making it. There's going to be a big wreck. There's going to be a caution. Who's going to be there at the end?
All right. Who is going to be there at the end? You got 30 seconds here. Tell me who wins the race and why.
Well, in 2014 was the last time the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl. In 2014, after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, the winner of the Daytona 500 started in ninth. Who's starting in ninth this season in the Daytona 500? None other than Chase Elliott. Who started in ninth in 2014 after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl in the Daytona 500? Dale Earnhardt Jr., who won the most popular driver award the year prior, just like Chase Elliott did last season. To me, all the signs are lining up. I'll take Chase Elliott in this one, plus 1,800 as well. He won a duel. He's got a fast car. Might as well go with the most popular driver.
Tino Patino, ladies and gentlemen, does a great job on NASCAR. Will be with us all season long on Fridays to break down the races. Check him out, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, also on Tubi with his great betting advice, and you can see his handle there on X for more information and follow him there. Thank you, Tino. Enjoy the race.
Thank you. Hell yeah.
Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for Friday. Before we do, a few reminders for you. First of all, SportsWrap Weekends, available on many of these same affiliates. A 30-minute condensed version of all the stuff we talked about during the week, the top stories, all of that, getting you ready for the weekend, everything going on. Make sure to check out SportsWrap Weekends. Many of these same affiliates carry it. If not, check your local listing. Sometimes it's on a sister station or a different station within your market. SportsWrap with Jason Page, the podcast version of the show. Audio only, Monday through Friday, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, and A Partridge in a Pear Tree. Go and check it out. It's fantastic. Listen to it while you're in the shower. 45 minutes, crystal clear audio. Myself, Sam Yarnell, our wonderful guests throughout the week. That and go and subscribe. We've also got the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. This is the place for all things Sports Wrap, the Monday through Friday TV version of the show, stripped of all the commercials, available for you on our YouTube channel, Monday through Friday. Go and subscribe. It is fantastic. Trust me, I would know. I put it together myself every day. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel also features Sports Wrap Shorts. These are 1 to 3 minute long videos. News breaks, we jump in on the YouTube channel with Sports Wrap Shorts. Get them delivered to you every day by simply subscribing to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Sports Wrap Shorts also available on our TikTok. The name is Sports Wrap Jason Page. And on our Instagram, you guessed it, the same name, Sports Wrap Jason Page. And without any further delay on this Friday edition of the show, one thing left to do, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Trinidad Chambliss through the courts, a victory. Maybe the biggest victory he could have. He gets a 6th season of college football, does he, Sam Yarnell? Presumably he'll be playing at Ole Miss next year and be the quarterback for that team. Court ruling that he should have gotten the medical red shirt that he didn't get. NCAA. So an injunction was filed by the court that's going to allow him to play next year. And this is where, battles are being fought now in college sports in the courtroom. We're seeing it with college hoops, and now we're seeing it in college football as well.
Yeah, we got a problem, Jason Page. This is it's not a good situation. Well, and I guess there are a lot of people saying the quiet part out loud, so I'll just join in on that kind of motion right now. You see what's going on in college basketball over the course of the last 2.5 months. Starting with Charles Bediako, right? Which that saga seemingly finally coming to an end. They had to kick him off the team because I guess the stay got overturned, something of that nature. Yeah. This is the trend that we are going to start seeing. And now it's crossed over to college football, where the introduction of this use of the courtroom, and this isn't just the Trinidad Chambliss thing, it also has to do with the Darian Mensah thing. But the crux of the matter is, you're going to start seeing professional football players try to go back to college. You're going to start seeing guys who didn't make it in the NFL, XFL players, trying to go back to the SEC and make another name for themselves and have another shot. This is starting to become dangerous because now you're going to have, and I know with the COVID year and everything, you had guys out there who were old. You had 24-year-olds playing college football. It's going to be a different game when there's a 28-year-old coming after those 18 and 19-year-olds that are running down the sideline. We're entering a very dangerous territory for college football, and somebody's going to have to do something because there's no way that they should be letting guys who have been in NFL weight rooms back into college football.
Who do you trust to fix it? That's the problem. Who do you trust to fix it? The NCAA? I mean, comedy of errors. Do you trust Congress? Oh my God. Like, who's going to fix it? Who's the person that's going to be responsible for fixing it?
That's the question. That's what everyone is trying to figure out right now. And until someone does, we're just going to keep living in this Wild West that we live in.
I agree. Miami of Ohio. Will they still be undefeated when we return to this show on Monday? There will be a show on Monday. We're taking a couple days off next week. Monday will not be one of those days. Will Miami of Ohio, out of the... Which conference is it again?
Mid-American.
Mid-American, thank you. The MAC. The Miggity Mac. For those of you that are of a certain age, you'll understand that reference. The Miggity Mac, the Miami of Ohio Redhawks take on the Ohio Bobcats on Friday night. Huge game. ESPN carrying it for the only undefeated team left in Division I men's college basketball, Sam Yarnell. Will Miami still be undefeated when we come back on Monday?
Yes, they will. They're 10.5-point favorites. However, they're at home for this game. Letdown spot coming up on Tuesday for the Redhawks. They have to travel to Massachusetts to play the Minutemen. I'm going to say that's when they lose their first game of the season, next Tuesday in, where is that, Amherst, I believe,
Amherst.
playing the UMass Minutemen.
Amherst, not Amherst. It's Amherst. And I say that because my husband graduated, he got his master's from UMass Amherst, so I have to shout out to the Minutemen. So kudos to them. Is UMass having a good year? I don't even know.
No, 15-10. But
right,
hey,
but
they had
serviceable.
such a bad year in football. I'm going to bet that they make this historic upset in basketball.
Going to wrap it up for us. Thanks to Robert Littal. Thank you to Tino Patino. Hey, Scotty Scheffler, by the way, back-to-back opening rounds in PGA Tour events where he's struggling. Just saying. Watch him this weekend, though. I think you can get him at like 21-1 to still win the tournament, or 27-1. We got to go. Sam Yarnell, I'm Jason Page. We'll see you all back here on Monday for another edition of Sports Wrap. Bye!